Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Mets Talk Live, off day edition right here on the channel. Hopefully, everybody is enjoying a day off from Mets baseball. We had 13 straight days of Mets baseball with no days off, with the trade deadline in between. And the New York Mets are going to be on the West Coast and to start August, and it's going to be a very, very tough trip. West Coast trips are never easy for the fans and the team, but this team is 6 games over 500. They're 8 games out of a division, half a game out of a wild card spot. And listen, guys, they're in it. They are in it for the remainder of the 2 months. Unless there's disasters waiting to happen, we're going to have competitive, we're going to have down to the wire games to eventually see who's going to make the playoffs. And we're all hoping that the Mets do, right? They did make additions at the deadline. Again, it wasn't a lot of big names, but quality, I would say quantity over quality, even though you'll see Blackburn tomorrow start for the New York Mets. Brazaban, you saw a little glimpse of him in the prior game against the Twins. He's got an electric arm. He's going to be good for us, guys. That moved the rating that I'm going to give this team at the trade deadline a little bit higher, as we'll get to that in a little bit. We'll get to the grading of the trade deadline, why I like the last move with Brazaban, the last move that Stearns made at the deadline, and then we'll get into the Angels, the games that we face, and we're going to get into the other 2 opponents, the Cardinals and the Rockies, that is on the schedule over the next week or so. We'll get into all of that, so make sure you hit on that like button, guys, and let's see. Let's see what we're going to talk about. Yes, I heard about Mike Trout, torn meniscus again. That guy, I mean, what a fall from Mike Trout with injuries. Like, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like, he's had a good enough career where he's going to have a Hall of Fame career. He has a Hall of Fame career. It's just that, look, he signed that huge contract with the Angels, and you're never, ever going to see him in the postseason. Definitely not a World Series. I mean, what did he have? Like 4 games in total of his postseason career? That's it. And it sucks that one of the best players in baseball doesn't get an opportunity to see it in the postseason every year. Can't do nothing about it except it sucks. But you know what? But we got our Mets to worry about, because the New York Mets can make the playoffs. And that's what we're going to talk about, right? Look, the trade deadline I know a lot of people wanted the big name starter or a big name reliever or Bolt. I was on that. I was on that bandwagon as well, right? But if you take a glimpse at what the Mets got, and really didn't give any top prospects, like big time top prospects up, and still got quality at this deadline, it's an okay deadline, right? It's not going to get everybody excited. It's not going to, make people go crazy like the Cespedes move or something like that. But they're quality moves. Blackburn, prior to getting hurt this season, he was outstanding. Now, it wasn't a lot of starts, but he was really good, right? He was an all-star in 2021, and the Mets are going to try to get lightning in the bottle from Blackburn. He was just coming off of the IL. I think he made 2 starts prior to getting traded to the Mets. He will be pitching tomorrow against the Angels, which he's very familiar with. And he is also familiar, or the team Angels are also familiar with Blackburn. So we're going to get a glimpse of one of our acquisitions at the deadline in Blackburn, and we'll see what he does, right? He has over a 4 ERA. I'm not looking at that because the same thing with Maton, where he had like around the 4 ERA, was pitching well prior to getting traded to the New York Mets. And you're getting him with the hope the veteran can, continue to pitch well and then pitch the way he was prior to getting traded to the Mets. Same thing with Blackburn. You hope that he gets, the Mets can fix him up a little bit, find certain things that they might see that maybe the A's didn't see, and then go from there. That's what you're going to have to do, right? Blackburn's going to be your back end of the rotation guy. You're really counting on Severino here. There is a possibility that Christian Scott's going to come back. There is a possibility that if the Mets do make the playoffs, Kodai Senga will be a part of the rotation in the playoffs. Again, what is that going to mean with Kodai Senga coming back? Who knows if he does come back at all. So, but we have to get to that point first. And Blackburn is one of the linchpins to this team now, right? Your rosters are final. There isn't no waiver wire. You can't make no more trades. You can't put anybody on the waiver wire, go through the teams and all that. That's it. The deadline's over. Your roster is set. You got 2 months of baseball. You got, 108 games you played already. So not many more games to go. Just a little bit above 50 games to go. And you're in a race, right? You could see at the wild card standings. And listen, make no mistake about it, guys. The New York Mets are not only in the wild card race, they are also in the division race. All right. 8 games isn't astronomical, right? Go back to June 11th. The Mets were 16 and a half games out of first place. They gained 8.5 games in just a little over a month and like a week. It's possible. It's very possible. Not saying it's going to happen. The Mets got to play outstanding baseball, and the rest of the games they have against Philly, you got to win. But if you look at this schedule that we're looking at past the Cardinals, which is obviously an important game. Remember, they're going from LA to St. Louis and then back to Colorado. So they're in the West Coast, got to go back to the Midwest, and they end up back on the West Coast in Colorado because the Cardinals, remember the last time we faced them in St. Louis, what happened? One of the games got rained out. Got to make up the game. And this is a huge game. Look, the Cardinals are a game behind the Mets. It's an important game. The Mets still got the Padres on the schedule. They got Arizona all in August on the schedule. These are teams you must beat, not only to get ahead of them in the wild card, but when it comes to tiebreakers. Look at these standings, guys. These standings are as close can be. That's why I kept on talking about a month ago that how important it is to beat the teams that are around you when it comes to the wild card, because there's a real possibility that it might come down to a tiebreaker. And how annoying and just frustrated will it be that the New York Mets don't make the playoffs because they lost the season series against the Diamondbacks or the Padres or the Cardinals or the Braves? That would suck. That would really suck. And that's why you got to win these games. All right. The Mets put themselves in a situation where They had to fight back from the dead, 11 games under 500 to get back. So they didn't have a lot of room for error here. Now they still don't, right? You can't go on a 5-6 game losing streak and expect to get back in this wildcard race because people can pass you by real quick, right? Now, I already put in the standings here the 6 teams in the wildcard standings because anybody under Pittsburgh, unless they go on an amazing run, which of course it's possible, but with the Giants, the problem with the Giants being 4.5 games back, the next team under the Pirates, is that they have Arizona and San Diego in their division. So the problem is they're not facing those teams enough times to win a lot of those games, because when you face a team in your division or face a team that you're facing a lot and they're in front of you, it's like 2 games that you gain if you win. And on top of that, when Arizona, if they are playing San Francisco, if San Francisco loses the game, that hurts them not with the team they're facing, but the other team in their division that's also playing. So I think when it comes to the wildcard standings, it's between these 6 teams at the bottom of your screen: the Braves, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, the Cardinals, and the Pirates. That is the 6 teams that you're going to have to, or the 5 teams you're going to have to worry about, including the Mets, right? So that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to worry about these teams, right? You play 1 game with St. Louis. You got a series against the Padres and the Diamondbacks in this month of August. There's no better time than now to get a little bit of room in these wildcard standings. But it is crazy, though, that this, with this new wildcard, bracket and everything like that, extra team and everything like that, we have to worry about tiebreakers more than probably any other time right now. So that's just what we have to do. We just got to keep winning, keep playing good. The Mets are 7-3 in their last 10 games, right? They did lose yesterday to the Twins, but they won another series, which is all they have to do is continue to win series, right? Yes, it would have been nice to sweep the Twins. Yes, it would have been nice to sweep a lot of teams. But you take series from teams, there's a pretty good chance you're going to keep on gaining games on 500, right? The Mets played 3 games against the Angels. We take 2 out of 3, that would be 59 and 52. So that would put you 7 games over 500. So you gain another game over 500 after another series. So if you keep on winning series here, you keep on gaining a little bit more in the 500, over 500 record, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Because I said this, I don't believe a wildcard team is going to be more than, the third wildcard team, I don't think it's going to be more than 5 games, 4 or 5 games over 500. So if the Mets are 5 games over 500 or more, I think they're going to be safe to win a wild card. Again, the first wildcard team is 9 games over 500, right? Well, technically, yeah. But again, because of the losses, the Mets only have 2 less losses than the Braves, because obviously the loss column is more important, and that's how you decide the games back. This is what it's going to be for the next 2 months, guys. Listen, we were all laughing at David Stearns and Steve Cohen when they talked about a competitive team, right? How many people in the chat, many, many times in the offseason, starting the season, this is a transition year, 2025 is where it's at, blah, blah, blah. You got important baseball in the dog days of summer of August and then in the final month of September. There is nothing more fun than turning on your TV, waiting for Mets baseball, knowing that game matters. We don't have that much as Met fans, right? Just go back last year. What happened? August 1st, right? Scherzer's gone. Verlander's gone. Bam. Canna. Like, we got rid of everybody. The last 2 months were irrelevant. Nobody cared about the games. We were doing roundtables, not even talking about the games. We were talking about the offseason, who the Mets can get, blah, blah, blah. Maybe a little bit about Kodai Senga having a really good season. Other than that, it was boring. We weren't talking about games. But guess what? When we do a Mets Talk Live, when me and Chris do a pregame, when we do a postgame, when we do the roundtable, guess what we're going to be talking about? The goddamn games. That's what you want to do. This is what we want as Met fans. We want to be in the mix. We're in the mix. We're in the biggest important part of the season, and they're relevant games. There's nothing more you can ask for that right now, especially with probably about more than 85% of the fan base believe that this was going to be a waste of a year, and it's not. Even if the Mets don't make the playoffs, but it takes until the end of September to not make the playoffs, they still give you the entire season of meaningful games. Look, it would be disappointing if you don't make the playoffs. And there'll be Met fans that are like, oh my God, how can you not make the playoffs? Yet they're the same people that this team was going to win 70 games this year. This team has the potential to be winning 85, 87, dare I say it, close to 90 wins. Nobody, except me and Chris, by the way, had 85 wins or more. Chris had 85, I had 87. Looking pretty good at that's very possible. So it's great. I think it's fun, guys. It's fun. Well, Frank, yeah, 162 games are important. Absolutely. But guess what? In the beginning of the season, how many people didn't care about the season? Because they thought they were going to have 70 wins. It was going to be a transition year, so to speak. Well, they proved a lot of you guys wrong. Right? This team has been better than anybody expected. Right? Parts of our team that we thought was going to struggle is better than we thought. Right? We thought we didn't have to worry about the offense. The first 2 months of the season, we really had to worry about the offense. The starting pitching and the bullpen kind of held it down and kept us afloat. Right? We had a terrible May. We had an amazing June. The offense started to pick it up. Lindor, Nimmo, Martinez, Vientos, Alvarez, Bader, Tyrone Taylor, Jose Iglesias. It's great. Marcus, I agree. I was right before I moved from New York. I went to the majority of the home games prior to leaving. I see every one of those losses, and I also saw the first win when we were 1-5. Listen, it was tough. It wasn't easy. Imagine if we would have won 2 of those games out of the 5. We'd have 59 wins right now, right? But now we just can't worry about it. Yeah, Frankie, exactly. I mean, look at us now, right? We caught up to Braves. We're 8 games from a division against the Phillies. Now, I don't care what anybody says. When you got 50-plus games to go and you're 8 games out, again, guys, a month and a half. The New York Mets, June 11th, were 16 and a half games out of first place of the division. They gained 8.5 games within that time frame. From June 11th until now, which is a month and a half. A little bit more than a month and a half. There's no reason why the Mets can't get much closer. The Phillies have been for about the last month I wouldn't say struggled because that's not fair to them, but they've come back to earth a little bit, right? They've been losing a couple of series. They haven't been playing as well, and they came back to earth. It's possible. That's it. It's very possible. Not saying it's going to happen. Listen, make the playoffs. I don't care how you do it. Right? Too many people are infatuated that, oh, this team is not good enough to win the World Series. Sure they are. Give me a reason why they can't win the World Series over the Dodgers, over the Phillies, over the Braves, over the Yankees, over the Twins, over the Guardians, right? You could say, oh, well, look at their roster. Look at their roster. Okay. Arizona had the least talented roster last year out of all the teams you could probably mention, especially in the National League. They beat every team that was talented, way more talented than they were on paper. Doesn't matter. All you have to do is get hot at the right time, have one pitcher just pitch outstanding, and you run with it. That's it. That's it. And Junior, I agree with you. I agree with you. I want to make the playoffs. I'd be pissed if we don't make the playoffs. And then people will definitely say, if they don't make the playoffs, well, we didn't think we were going to have a season like this anyway. We thought we weren't going to make the playoffs. Yeah, but that's a loser's mentality. You're in the thick of things right now. Make the playoffs. There's no excuses anymore. The Kodai Senga injury sucks. Next man up. Didn't we talk about this over the last 2 months? Wait, you're not doing a job? Okay, we'll get somebody to replace you that does. This team has picked each other up over the last 2 months every single game. Look, you're going to lose games. It's baseball, right? People were bitching and moaning yesterday when we lost because we didn't get a sweep. We won the series. If you win series from here on out, you're on the verge of 90 wins. That's how important series wins are. Look, we all like sweeps. I love sweeps. I wish we could sweep the next 50 games. But just think of it this way, guys. There's what, 50? I can't do math right now. I'm on a roll right now. Let's see. Hold on. Let me just do the math because I can't do math in my head. All right. 54 games left to go. All right. 54 games left to go. All right. If they go 500, right? If they go 500, that's 84 wins. Just 500. Average baseball. If they play 3 games over, that's 87. If they play 6 games over, guess the number of that is, guys? 90 wins. They don't have to play great baseball. If they play average baseball, and I said this time and time again, the third wildcard team is not going to have more than 5 games over 500. So that's, in my mind, 5 games over is going to be enough to get you into the playoffs. Look, of course, you want to get the second or the first or shit, even the division. But as Met fans, if you're going to complain that your team made the playoffs, making the wild card, then why are you watching at all? Because if you're one of those Met fans that's saying, why make the playoffs? We're just going to lose. Then don't watch. It's a loser's mentality, and Met fans got to stop it. If you want to become serious fans amongst other people around baseball and not a laughingstock of a fan base, start believing in your team. This team can go as far as they can go. And who knows where that is? Because you can't tell me that this team today was not more talented than the Diamondbacks who made the World Series last year. Or the Phillies in 2022, who had one of the worst defensive and worst bullpens in baseball. It's very simple, guys. Make the playoffs and anything can happen. We know the Dodgers always have the best team, always have the best roster, win 100+ games every year, and they choke. If it was so obvious that the best team on paper wins the World Series, then it would happen more often than not, right? They've been getting picked off by teams that are lesser than them. Same thing with the Phillies. Same thing with the Yankees. How many times have the Yankees been favored to make the World Series year after year after year? If not number one, they're definitely right behind the Dodgers. Every year. Then why haven't the Yankees and Dodgers won the last 5 World Series? Or shit, even make the World Series? Because it's baseball. Baseball is so unpredictable. This is not the NBA playoffs where it's very predictable. Even the NFL for that matter. Usually the bad teams don't usually beat the good teams. And when you get to the playoffs, it's usually the 2 best teams that make the playoffs, that end up in the Super Bowl. It's rare that a team that probably shouldn't be there makes the Super Bowl. It's rare. Baseball has become the NHL playoffs. Only get in because anything can happen. All you need is that 1 or 2 weeks of a run and go hot into the playoffs. And you can make any team look like garbage. And you can make your team look amazing. That's it. It's not that hard. to understand that it's possible. It's very possible. And I'm sick and tired of fans not actually thinking that it can happen. Like, we lived through 2015. And if you tell me that this roster is not more talented than 2015, then you just don't want to believe it. Right? Was the pitching better? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it was a bunch of rookies. It was guys that were not proven. Just because they were good in the regular season, they had no postseason experience. If this is the rotation that we're going to go into the playoffs with, it's a ton of experience with Minaya, with Quintana, with Severino. This is an experienced rotation that has been in those spots before. Why can't you get behind that? You know, you got Jose Iglesias, who's a veteran, right? I feel like Lindor, and I say this time and time again, Lindor shows up when the lights are brightest, guys. He has excellent postseason numbers. He was the man with the Indians at the time. This guy shows up when the lights are the brightest. You want to see Lindor in the playoffs. We didn't. The 2022 season going into the playoffs was just such a downer going into that playoffs. After losing the division, it felt like all the air was left out of the balloon. I want Lindor in the playoffs. This guy performs in the playoffs. You got to get there. He'll earn that money, even though, in my opinion, he's earned his money from day one. Except for the first half of his first season, he's had better seasons than anybody else overall. And I'm including his defense because people don't want to talk about that enough, like it doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. And oh, by the way, he's also the leader of this team. When everybody wanted to throw it to Pete Alonso, and Pete Alonso shies away from everything, it was Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo who stepped up on this team. Big time. So, you know, all the people that say, oh, we can't win with Pete Alonso, well, we're doing it this year because Pete Alonso has basically been a no-show this year. This is his worst season of his career. Like, there's a possibility he won't even have 35 home runs at the end of the season. Probably not even 100 RBIs. So we're winning. We're having a better season than anybody expected without Pete Alonso even having his normal back of the baseball card season. He's not even having that. Just imagine if Pete Alonso gets hot these last 2 months. Like, this lineup has already been very good without Pete Alonso being hot at any moment. If you look at Pete Alonso month by month, he's never went on a real hot streak more than a week. Lindor had a crazy hot streak for like 3 weeks. Nimmo, the same thing. Martinez, same thing. Vientos, same thing. We need a Pete Alonso 3-week stretch where you can't get him out. Hasn't happened yet. We got 54 games left of the season. It's about time you get going here, right? So get it done. It's about time for Pete Alonso to put this team on his back, and have a couple of weeks of just going crazy with the bat. Because this team is 6 games over 500 despite Pete Alonso having a good season. I mean, it's borderline average for Pete Alonso's season. It's borderline average, right? I don't look at anything else except his numbers, his career numbers. He is well below his career numbers. This guy might not even hit 35 RBI, 35 home runs. Probably not 100 RBIs. If I would have told you that Pete Alonso wouldn't have 100 RBIs or possibly 35 home runs, if I would have told you that before the season, you would think the Mets would have been dead. But guess what? You don't really need Pete Alonso right now. Right? They're winning despite him. Now, if he gets going, shit, this lineup can be even better. But we have to see it happen. Like, come on, Pete. We are rooting you on here, right? I'm sick of criticizing you, but you deserve every second of it. Get it done. Alvarez, the same thing. Look, Alvarez has been really good behind the plate. I can't kill him working with the pitches. His numbers at the plate are disgusting. His power is basically gone. There's no power. What, 5 home runs? This is the guy we're going to easily hit 20 home runs this year, maybe more. I like the average, but even his average has been going down a little bit as well. He needs to be better. Right? We can criticize Pete Alonso all day, but Alvarez has been basically nothing with the bat. That's the other problem. Just think if those two guys get going. If Alonso and Alvarez start going with Nimmo, even though Nimmo has been struggling, but again, you're going to have a cold streak, right? Nimmo carried his team for a couple of weeks, probably even a month. Same thing with Lindor. These guys are going to go on cold streaks. But we need Alvarez and Pete Alonso, both of these guys, to step up. You know, Nimmo and Lindor could take a back seat for a couple of, for a week and let the Alonso and Alvarez take over. That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah, Luz, I understand that. He's hurting with the finger. I understand that. But again, if you're injured and your performance is not there, then go on the IL. Help yourself. But we already know with this thumb injury that it's going to irritate him. It's not going to injure himself more. It's just going to be uncomfortable. Right? I understand it's probably affecting his hitting. But if you're out there, I don't want to hear excuses. I say this all the time with players on my team or anybody else's team. I don't want to hear about injuries after the fact when you played. If you played, I'm assuming you're healthy enough to play and perform. Because I don't want to hear excuses after the season, well, he was hurt. He needed surgery. Well, that's on you. You should have just not played, and you can say, oh, well, he had guts because he played. But you're not helping the team. If you're hurting the team performance-wise because you're hurt, because your pride is telling you got to be out there, I love that. But if you're not helping the team, you're not performing because of an injury, you're not helping the team. Get somebody in there that's healthy that can replace you. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm still going through this chest stuff. Oof, crazy. Seems like Alvy's thumb is bothering more. Yeah, I agree, Junior. His thumb is probably the problem. But look, again, go on the IL. But the thumb's not going to get better by resting. At least not. He needs the offseason to not do absolutely nothing and let it really heal. But that's the problem. He's playing. And, if the foul ball hits the glove the wrong way, well, you're going to feel it. We've seen it time and time again. But you got to get it done, guys. You're out there, perform. Right? So that's where we are right now. So, Mets are a half a game back in the wild card standings. Oh, sorry, Junior. Let me see. Let's be fair, though, Rob. Mets don't have another option that is better. No, I understand that. But again, I don't want somebody out there that, look, Alvarez has been really good behind the plate. I'm not killing him behind the plate. He's worked well with the pitchers. But could we be honest here? He is not on this team to be a good defensive catcher. He is on this team to rake. That's why he's here. His bat is supposed to be the main reason why he's at the major league level, not his defense. Because his defense could be good. He could be working with the pitchers well. But when I need you at the plate with runners on, get the job done. You were supposed to be an offensive catcher, right? You were supposed to be the offensive catcher like Piazza. That's what you were here for. You're not one of those defensive catchers that can't hit. This is the guy that should be hitting 20 home runs, 20-plus home runs in the season. He's not going to get there at all unless he has an outstanding 2 months where he just goes crazy. So he's got to step it up. I don't care. You're playing, step it up. Injury or no injury. If you can't play and help your team where you need it the most with the bat, then go on the IL. See if they can, give you a shot. See if they can do a little bit different types of therapy, something. But most likely, it's only an uncomfortable feeling. It's you're gonna feel pain. You probably need the off season to let it rest. You're not at that point right now. So I'm not happy that he's struggling. I I know why he's struggling, and it's frustrating because I'd rather him be 100%, and then we can see what he really can do. But you know what? Bear down. I'm not saying he's like a punk or anything like that. I'll be saying he's badass. You're a catcher. You're a badass. You get all those bumps and bruises, but we need you with the bat. You can't be, a 4 or 5 home run guy. Yes, his average is okay, but we need you to be a power guy too. That's why you're here. You were not rushed to the majors because of your defense. You were rushed here for this team, for your offense. That offense needs to be better. Pete Alonso in a contract year, having his worst season of his career. Let's go. Give me 3 weeks of can't getting you out. I want pitchers to fear you. That slider, he still goes after it. He looks lost at the plate. Yes, he hits a mistake every now and then and hits one over the wall. But it's not enough. It's not at the rate that I need Pete Alonso hitting home runs. Pete Alonso with runners on base are terrible. Terrible. Barely over 200 average. When there's nobody on, he looks like a totally different player. It's amazing to me. Let's go, Pete. Let's go, Alvy. That's where we are right now. But despite what I was just complaining about, the Mets are 6 games over 500, 8 games out of the division, half a game out of a wild card spot, 1 game and a half or so away from the Braves. Guys, we are in this thing. Well, Chris, I got to knock Alvarez because he's not doing the job that we need him to do. Like, I'm sorry, guys, but you can't keep on shying away from criticizing guys that deserve criticism. Could we not do this? You know how long I've been criticizing Pete Alonso? Since May. I've been criticizing Pete Alonso. Shit, since the offseason, I've been criticizing Pete Alonso. Where I keep on saying, look at his numbers. He is a stat padder. He's been that. When the going gets tough, he's nowhere to be found. I've said that. Now everybody's starting to come along, and now that everybody else is talking about it, now it makes sense to everybody. It's very simple. Alvarez is here for his bat, not because of his defensive capabilities behind the plate. He's here because of his bat. We need that bat to wake up. The same thing goes for Pete Alonso. I'm very happy now that everybody's starting to realize what Pete Alonso has done his entire career with the Mets, and specifically this year. His stats are terrible with runners in scoring position, terrible with people on base, and he's one of those guys that pad his stats. Because all I heard for years was Francisco Lindor pads his stats. Yet, always has better numbers in the clutch. With runners on base, runners in scoring position. Pete Alonso doesn't. This is not a 1-year basis here. This is a trend with Pete Alonso. Right? We only like to look at offense, but you can also look at the all-around game. The fact is, Pete Alonso is a stat padder. It's okay, but when you're needed the most and your team needs you in the most important spots in games, when games still matter, right? Because I got a lot of people saying, oh, look at his stats last year in August and September. Yeah, when the Mets were out of it. Yippee. I don't care about that. What about May and June when the Mets were still in it? Where he was complaining to the media that he wants the team to go for it and make trades at the deadline and make us better. What was he doing? Grounding out to the shortstop, popping up, not doing what he's supposed to do. He was part of the reason the Mets were sellers last year. He wasn't all of the reason, but he was part of it. When you're one of the stars of the team, you are going to get most of the blame. It's very simple. It's not hard to figure out. This team this year, 2024, New York Mets, is winning despite the lackluster season that Pete Alonso was having in the contract year, guys. I don't have to prove it to you. You see it. But now more people and more Mets fans are starting to come around to that. Even 2 months ago, all I heard, oh, you're always going on Pete Alonso. You're always getting on Pete Alonso. Because there were facts. Just because you don't like to criticize Pete Alonso, because everybody's afraid of Pete Alonso and the criticism, including the media. Now all of a sudden they're putting up stats on SNY with runners on base with Pete Alonso, how bad they are. ESPN talks about it. You heard the MLB Network when they were doing the trade deadline talking about Pete Alonso with Joel Sherman and Steve Phillips. Everybody's starting to talk about it now. Congratulations. You finally got on the bus. I've been talking about it for 5 months. Now everybody realizes it. But I do feel like there's something in there with Pete Alonso that can still come out of him. I feel like there's a next level to Pete Alonso. We've seen it. Pressurized situation or not. We know we can do it. But it needs to be in a bigger moment. I have no confidence in Pete Alonso with people on base. When Pete comes up and there's people on base, I'm worried about the next guy who's behind him. Either it's McNeil or Vientos or Alvarez. Because I don't trust Pete Alonso to get it done. It's frustrating. But this team is still a good team. It's just we're still not at the level I think this team can be. This team is having a down season from Alvarez, down season for Pete Alonso offensively, yet they're still 6 games over 500. They're right in the mix of a playoff spot, probably for the next 2 months. It's frustrating because if Pete Alonso was playing to even the back of his baseball card, I don't need him to have a career year, just the back of his baseball cards, where he's approaching 40 home runs, 100 plus RBIs. There's a strong possibility he won't get there this year. Just play to the back of your baseball card for the next 2 months. This team will be even better, guys. Even better. So, Mets got the Angels coming up tomorrow. Paul Blackburn, one of the trade deadline acquisitions, will be facing his division rivals when he was with Oakland, going to see that team again in game 1. Then you got David Peterson coming off his bad start. See if he can do it again. Angels have all TBD for their starters. So the Angels are bad. They traded their closer. They traded one of their relievers. 2 of their best bullpen arms. Don't lose to this team. Look, we're all greedy here. I love a sweep, but give me a series win. You get a series win, I just did the math. You'll be 7 games over 500 after this series if you win the series. Then you go to St. Louis, beat their ass for 1 game. Beat them up during that makeup game. That's a team that is right on your tail. And then you got the terrible Rockies. Now, again, terrible or not, when you play at Coors Field, I don't care if you're the best team in baseball or the worst team in baseball. That stadium scares the hell out of me because you could be a bad team and still score a tremendous amount of runs in Colorado. The Rockies do have a lot of guys that can hit the ball over the wall. And in Colorado, who the hell knows? So that's a crapshoot. Anytime you go into Colorado, I don't care if they're a pretty good team, bad team, best team in baseball, it doesn't matter. You go into Colorado expecting a lot of runs. When teams score a lot of runs, anybody can win. So I don't know what to expect in Colorado, except the Mets are the better team. Find a way to win a series. They got to do that with the Angels. Listen, they're better than the Angels. I think they're better than the Cardinals, and they're better than the Rockies. That is 7 games. Go 5-7. Why not? Go 5. Win 5 out of 7. Go 5-2. You go 5-2. It's a good road trip. The Mets don't have a lot of games at home this month. They're on the road a lot. Because later in the month, you got Arizona. You got San Diego. 2 teams, look where they are. They're right there with you. So you can't spit the bit now. You got to win those games. Not only because of the records, but because of the tiebreaker. Which I have an awful feeling that it's going to come down to one of these playoff positions and a tiebreaker. I don't want to lose on a tiebreaker. I don't want to go down because of a tiebreaker. Imagine having 87, 88 wins and you don't make the playoffs because of a tiebreaker. That would piss me off. That would really piss me off. But we'll see what happens. We play a lot of games on the road this month. I believe we have a week and a half of home games, and the remaining 3.25 weeks, 3 weeks or so, we're all on the road. A lot of games. Easy, man. Look, this is the time for Pete Alonso to shine. You're on the road, late games. Just beat up the West Coast, please. Yeah, I like us on the road too, but the Mets have had one of the better records in baseball at home over the last 20 games. So they've been pretty good at home. The road record has been really good, but they got to continue that. And God, what I love to see this month of August, Pete Alonso go absolutely nuts. Listen, Pete, I don't want you. I want you to shut me up. Put it that way. Shut me up, please. I know a lot of people would be very happy about that, but shut me up. I don't want to criticize you anymore. I don't want to criticize you anymore. Shut me up. Chris, I'm not. Alonso is not a beast. Give him time. It's already 108 games into the season. What are you going to wait until game 163 when we don't make the playoffs? No. There is no time. You are one of the faces of the franchise. You are one of the stars of this team. Grow a pair. Get up and show why your career is not a flux, not a fluke. Because you're not a really good player when you don't hit in the biggest spots. When you're a stat padder and you don't do it in the biggest moment, guess what, guys? You're not very good then. Listen, it's very possible, and my cat's trying to eat the bag of chips. Sorry, guys. What are you doing? I'm sorry, guys. My cat Shay is trying to steal my chips. He's hungry. He'll eat soon. Yeah, he's coming. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, Chris, I know who the face of the franchise is. Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. And that's fine. But Chris, then that's fine. But Pete Alonso was here before Francisco Lindor, right? Everybody was, Pete Alonso this, Pete Alonso that. That's it. Get it done. I'm not being harsh on Pete Alonso. He deserves every criticism I'm giving him. And now everybody else is giving him criticism. It's about time. But I still feel Pete Alonso is going to come through. Maybe I'm freaking nuts. He's going to have probably his worst year of his career. And we're going to have to deal with that part. But I don't care about 2025 with Pete Alonso. I care about 2024 with Pete Alonso because it's going to help this team. Yeah, and Chris, I hope so. I mean, you're making it seem like I want Pete Alonso to fail. I'm not doing that. I'm criticizing a guy that I believe is better than what he's showing. There's nothing wrong with that. I want him to shut me up. Right? How many people shut up because of Francisco Lindor and what he's done? All I've heard, he's not worth the money. Oh, he's not that good. He's like the third best shortstop in baseball, fifth best shortstop in baseball. No, he's the best shortstop in baseball. Sorry. Criticism he's worthy of the criticism, guys. He won't be if he performs. But I want him to shut me up. I don't want to keep criticizing. I want to come up on here and says, Pete, thank you for shutting me up. Yeah, heck, I understand. He didn't pitch well. He just came off the IL, so it's kind of a hit and miss with that one. Probably rusty. Listen, get it. Look, Blackburn, I don't care. Look, you're here now. Get the job done. Right? That's what we talk about. Well, Chris, I have no proof Pete Alonso will come through in the playoffs. You know why? Because I haven't seen him there for more than 3 games. And if Pete Alonso is going to play fast and loose in the playoffs, wonderful. But he hasn't played fast and loose in a contract year and 108 games into the season. Get it done. That's it. Until you get it done, you're going to get criticized. Listen, guys, we're on the West Coast. It's a big month of August. We're playing all the teams we need to play. We're better than the Angels. We're better than the Rockies. Win. You got a Cardinals team that's right on our ass. Win. You got the Diamondbacks coming up. You got the Padres coming up. Guess what? Tiebreakers are going to matter. You got to beat the teams in front of you. Let's see what they can do. Starts tomorrow with Paul Blackburn on the mound against the Angels. Again, we don't know the pitching matchups as of yet. We'll see who we're going to be facing. But 6 games over 500. It's the month of August. My birthday month, by the way. Dog days of summer are here. Mets got to continue to play well. The key, win series. Sweeps are nice, but winning series, that is going to get you in the playoffs. Again, if you go 500 the rest of the way, that's an average 27-27 with 54 games to play. They would have 84 wins. If they go 3 games over, that's 87 wins. Anywhere between 84 and 88, any wins more than 84 is probably going to get you in the playoffs. That's the goal. Get into the playoffs. It was fun talking to you guys on this off day. Another Mets Talk Live in the books. Always appreciate you guys hanging out, chilling with us, talking Mets baseball, disagreeing, agreeing. It's all fun. No love loss. Don't worry. Don't take nothing to heart. It's all out of fun. It's all for the love of our goddamn New York Mets. We hate them one day. We love them tomorrow. It's just the way it goes. It's a love-hate relationship. We're just going to keep on going until the Mets finally win. And then we can cry all together in happy tears. With that said, guys, have a great rest of your Thursday. Right, today's Thursday, right? Yep. Great rest of your Thursday. I'll be doing a pregame tomorrow prior to the probably a few hours before the game because the game is at like 9:38 for some reason. 9:38. It can't just be 9:30, but 9:38. With that said, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Let's go, Mets. Let's win another series, and I'll see you guys next time, guys. Have a great night. Let's go, Mets.